I'll mute all.
Okay.
All right, sweet. So thanks for coming to class today. So we're just gonna get started with that marching pattern. Today, we need a chair and dumbbells. If you don't have dumbbells, you can use hands of soup. But as we usually do, we start off with a warm-up. If you get lost anywhere or while we're taking a break, you want to keep exercising, you can always go into this march. But seeing if we can get started with a side-to-side motion, palm up and palm down, going back and forth. Welcome to Fitness with Familiar Faces. My name's Kevin. If you haven't seen a ParQ Plus form in the last year, go check it out in those email links. Otherwise, you're good for exercise. But seeing if you can go side to side, you can do it at your own pace. It doesn't have to be the speed that I do it. And your palm up, palm down. That's a warm-up for the pushing and pulling we'll do today with the weights. And it's good for posture. Every exercise we do, 20, 30 seconds, and the first 3 are a warm-up. Seeing if you can move that into a tap. So tapping and tapping. Reaching across the body and tapping. That's for your hip muscles. So people that have stiffness in the hips, or in the low back, it is important to stretch or move the hips in ways we usually don't. So usually people sit down, people take stairs, people walk. That's all forward motion. So here we're trying to move the hips differently. So to the side and after to behind. And that can help with hip stiffness, or we're just using it as your warm-up. Yeah. From there, you see if you can go into a tap. So tapping behind and pulling. Tapping and tapping. So there's your side view. And that's for your back of the thighs or your hamstrings. For safety, it's always good to have a chair just in case for balance. It is good to exercise with shoes if balance is a challenge for you. And you take things at your own pace. Yeah. From there, we see if you can go back into the first exercise. So into your side to side. Going back and forth, side to side, palm up and palm down. Option 1, if you have any knee injuries or stiffness in the back or hips, you can stay here. If you want a bit more of a challenge, you would want to do a longer stride. That would be option 2. If you're already doing a lot of exercise in your routine, option 3 would be making that into your monster walk or crab walk. So it's just like a squatted position. That's a little bit harder on the thighs. Still into your palm up, palm down. So different variations. Whether you do small step side to side, big step side to side, or your monster walk. Whatever works for you, feeling that on the outside of the hips and a little bit in the front of the thighs. Into your second exercise, into the march or tap and reach. Tapping and reaching across your body. Stomach muscles pulled in a little bit so that you work your oblique or rib muscles. So this sort of twisting across the body is like your shoulder check when you drive, cycle, or looking around you when you walk. For balance, if you want to stay comfortable, just tap the feet. If you want to challenge the balance, see if you can add a bit of a foot up. A little bit harder on the hips, especially the hip that stays on the ground, but that would be option 2. Yeah. Working front and middle shoulders every time you reach. And option 1 is just tapping. Option 2 is lifting that foot up. Yeah. And finally, that third exercise we did was into your taps and row or pull. pulling is good for posture muscles, people that have stiffness in the shoulder or the neck. Sometimes it's good to stretch out front shoulder, chest muscles, or stretch muscles that are a little bit tighter. So again, level 1, just tapping your feet. If you want to challenge that balance, making that more into a leg curl. A little bit more challenging with that one. That would be level 2. Whenever you do start with exercise, you want to start off slowly and gradually. If at any point in exercise you get shortness of breath, then you can always use your nitro spray. Nitro spray generally won't cause more harm. But if you are seeing that you have tightness in the chest after exercise, during rest, then it's good to talk to your doctor or your case manager. Perfect. Last one, going back into your side to side. So last round of these warm-up exercises. Palm up and palm down. Different options for you. Tall, longer strides, harder on the balance, and monster walk or crab walk, where you go into your squatted position. Like if you're taking a seat on the chair, that's the hardest variation. So you do the one that works best for you. Side to side, palm up, palm down. Yeah, seeing if you can go into your tap, tapping across the body as you reach. If you're comfortable here, just tap those feet on the floor. If you want more of a challenge, seeing if you can add a little bit of a lift. For your glute or hip muscles, every time we do side or back motions, and a shoulder warm up for the weights we're going to use in the second part of the class. Option 1, option 2. And then seeing the last one is back into your taps and row. Tapping those feet, adding that shoulder row or shoulder pull. So tapping, option 1. Curling those legs for your hamstrings or back of the thighs, option 2. We do marching as part of the Zoom here because it's good for cardio. So just like walking, cycling, swimming, it's generally easier on the joints, so it's a good place to start. Anything that brings your heart rate up, gets you a little bit warmer, that is cardio. That will help give you more endurance for your heart and make the arteries and veins less stiff, so reducing blood pressure. Cardio. So from there, seeing if you can go back into your march. So we do take a break every 2-3 sets. If you want to grab some water, now's the chance. We will go into 3 exercises with the dumbbells. So I'll give you 20-30 seconds here. Grab some water if you like. If you want to keep moving, just stay with the march. Seeing if you can grab those weights that are here. The first one we're going to go into is into your side raises. So for this one, seeing if you can go out to the side and come back down. If there is shoulder injury, then you can do one side at a time. And it doesn't matter how high you lift it up. This is for your middle shoulders. So it can either be single arm, it can be 2 arms. If the class is tougher for you today, stay standing and focus on the shoulders. If the class seems an okay challenge, you're going to combine our warm-up exercises with the raise. Taking 2 steps and going into your raise. Again, it can be 1 arm if that feels more comfortable for you. It can be 2 arms. But it is important to train those shoulder muscles so you can carry boxes, groceries, grandkids. And then last one. Perfect. The next one, seeing if you can go into your curl, going up and down. So different variations for the curl. The curl is good for grip strength. So you can carry bags. People who have arthritis or have pain in the fingers, sometimes gripping objects can strengthen those muscles. So option one is your bicep curl. Option two is seeing if you can take a step forward curl and a step back curl, going back and forth. Whenever you combine the weights and a little bit of movement, that does bring your heart rate up. Resistance training with dumbbells, bands, or body weight are good to keep your bone density. So if you fall, you have some muscles there to protect the bones from breaking. Yeah. And then last one. Finally, seeing if you can go into a bend. So if you have your side view, imagine that you're going into that bend, feeling that stretch in the hamstrings and coming up tall. A bend and coming back up again. The weights stay close to your body. Your legs stay fairly straight so you feel a stretch in the back of the thighs. And this is to help when there's stiffness in the back or the hips. So if today's class is challenging for you today, stay in this position. If you want more of a challenge, we work the muscles of your upper back. Option two is your bend and your flies. Your bend and your flies. That would be option two. For the breathing, you want to breathe in every time your body goes to the ground and breathe out once you start the row and the lift. Breathing in when you lower, breathing out when you come up. Yeah. And then last one. Great. Seeing if you can go back into your side-to-side motion. So you can stay in that side-to-side if your shoulders are getting sore. Or you can focus on the resistance training. So up to you whether you go side, one arm, or the other. A side raise. Option one, standing in one spot. Option two is going back and forth into your raise. Feeling that in the middle shoulder. If you feel that discomfort in the neck, bottom of the shoulder blade, switch to one arm at a time, or just focus on your side-to-side motions. We do resistance training for endurance here, so 10 to 15 repetitions. Yeah, and last one. Same, seeing if you can go into your bicep curl. So you can stay standing if you need more of a breather, or option two is taking your step forward and taking your step back. Every time you step, adding a curl. For grip strength, to help with finger strength. And that would be option two, going into your front and back. The idea is in the class that it's a moderate intensity. So you get a little bit warmer. You should still be able to talk. And breathing in and breathing out as you normally do. Yeah. And you're on to your last one, your bend. So for this one, seeing if you can go tall, adding that bend where your hips go back, feeling the stretch in the hamstrings or the back of the thighs, and your weights stay close to your thighs. Whenever you're carrying any weight at home or in the gym, the closer the weights are to your center of mass, the easier on your back. So that's why the weights stay close to your thighs. Option 1 or option 2 into your flies. Every time you bend, breathing out when you start flying and coming back up, breathing in when you go to the ground. We're doing 3 sets of every exercise. So after this, we get a break. And then last one. Perfect. So now's your chance to grab some water. If you're okay with water, you can always stay in your marching position. But we will take 30 seconds of breather here. And that way I can see how these exercises are treating you as well. So last set of exercises. So level 1, going into your side raise for your middle shoulders. Or you can do both arms if that's okay on the neck and the bottom of your shoulder blade. Option 2 is going into your side to side motion. And then adding your side raise. Anytime you combine upper body and lower body exercises, that helps with coordination. And coordination is tied with balance to help you stay up on your feet, to help make multitasking easier, and coordination can help with memory, remembering what exercises and what movements you're doing next. So a side raise, moving into your bicep curl exercise. Seeing if you can go into your curl and come back down. If there is any discomfort in the neck or shoulder, you can always switch to one arm at a time. If the class is tiring for you today, you can stay standing. Or if you want a little bit more movement, going into your forward and back positions. Back and forth. It is important to do some type of resistance training at least twice in the week. So here what I'm showing you are 3 exercises with weights, 3 sets, and that's a great start if you're trying to keep your bone density, work on a little bit of muscle mass, then twice a week is recommended. So if you do a Zoom class with me, a Zoom class with Mary or with Casey, or even follow some of the YouTube videos that are posted. If you could do that one other day in the week and you're having difficulty doing exercise, that's a great place to start. Last one. Into your bend exercise. So you go back to tall, shoulders down, hips move back and up again. Feeling the stretch in the hamstrings, back of the thighs. Weight stay close to your legs. Option 1 is just the bend, because that will help with strengthen the hamstrings and glutes. Option 2 is your bend and your fly. More for the muscles of the upper back. Breathing in every time you lower, breathing out when you come up tall again. Yeah. And then last one there. Perfect. From there, those weights go over to the side. And we see if we can use some of these exercises for stretching and for balance. So the first one we're going to go into is going into some hip stretches. So today what you're going to try is seeing if you can go into your runner stretch. So front leg bent and back leg straight. So you got your front view, you got your side view. Once you have that position, seeing if you can go into a bit of a teapot stretch. So from here, see if you can reach down on the same side where your leg is in front of you. Feeling your stretch along the low back on the same side where your front hip is stretching. and tightness in the stomach. You come back into the middle, and then you switch sides. So whichever leg is in front of you, that's the side your arm slides down. If you have stiffness or tightness in the back, then you can hold it, breathing in and breathing out. If you want to train more stomach muscle, then you would go back and forth, pulling that belly button in a little bit, breathing in every time you fall and breathing out when you come up. And that's if you're trying to train more stomach muscle. If you just want some relief of stiffness or a stretch, you would hold it, breathing in and breathing out. Yeah. And then from there, you release, coming back to the middle. The next one, because we did shoulder exercises with the side and the flies, are stretches to help keep your shoulder blades down. So for this one, this is a neck stretch, different variations. You're gonna start off with going an ear to shoulder, and then chin slightly down. You wanna make sure both shoulders are even and they're down. And you should feel that stretch from the bottom of the ear going into your shoulder blade or upper back. That's to keep shoulder blades down or from hunching up. Slowly coming back into the middle, and then you switch sides. Ear to shoulder and chin down. Shoulders are relaxed, breathing in and breathing out as you normally do. And we're doing this stretch for the neck and shoulder blade because we did the reverse flies and we did those dumbbell side raises. Generally, you want to stretch muscles that you use in exercise. Yeah. And then from there, you release, coming back to the middle. The next one that we go into is balance and for your hips. So for this one, you have the chair for support. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna cross a leg behind you. So when you cross your leg behind you, you are holding onto the chair because it's harder to balance. So this is your front view. This would be your side view. Once you get into this leg cross position, you have that chair for support, placing that in front of you. And you're gonna see if you can reach over and come back. So that you feel a stretch on the hip of the foot that is behind you. Reaching over the body. The foot behind you is a bit of a hip or glute stretch. Then you switch sides. Now the other foot goes behind you. You have your chair for balance or for support in front. And then you'll feel the stretch on the glute or hip of the leg that's behind you. Reaching across the body and coming back. And that's a standing hip and low back stretch. And this would be the standing version of your seated glute stretch. So you could do seated, this exercise, or if you wanted a standing version, it would be in this position. And we repeat the sequence, seeing if you can go back to your runner stretch. This time the feet are not crossed. The one leg is behind you, the other leg is in front. If you can, you want to make your back foot even or straight, just like your first foot. Heel down. Front or side view. And it's up to you. Whether you want to add more of a stretch for the low back and train stomach, then you would see if you could add a reach. Whether you hold it or back and forth, or if you're just comfortable in this position, opening up your shoulder and chest, especially people that know they have more rounded shoulders or a slouch position or forward neck. Then this would be a beneficial stretch for you as well. But from there, you switch sides. Front leg bent, back leg straight. Seeing if you can line up your rear foot with your front. If you are trying to train stomach or stretch back, reaching down on that side where your leg is in front of you. Breathing in and breathing out as you normally do. Or option 2, just opening up those shoulder chest muscles. But this type of runner stretch or front hip stretch can be done after any of your activities. Walking, gardening, playing with grandchildren, playing with pets, anything that you're moving your hips, you can use this front hip stretch or runner stretch. Yeah. From there you release. We go into our second set of that levator scapula stretch or shoulder blade stretch. For this one, so different options. It makes it harder if you put your arm behind the back and it's ear to shoulder looking down. That's a more intense stretch. You'll feel a stretch at the top of the neck into your shoulder blade and tightness at the bottom of your shoulder blade with arm behind the back. That could be useful if you are trying to practice arm behind the back or arm up high. And the lower your hand is, the more comfortable. The higher it goes, the more challenging. But from there, that neck comes back to the middle, and then you switch sides. Ear to shoulder, slightly looking down. So you feel the stretch along the side of the neck, making it more challenging by reaching that hand behind the back. But it's up to you. Whatever feels comfortable for you, arms to the side or arms behind the back. Yeah. You release, coming back into the middle. And then the last one that we did, you have the choice whether you go into your leg behind you, you have your chair for support, and you reach, so you get a hip and back stretch. Or if it's just more comfortable for you to go in a seated position and try your glute stretch here, do that. So anything that helps you feel more of a stretch in the hips. I'm going to demonstrate the standing one, but up to you which one you try. If you are doing standing, one leg goes behind you, and the leg that goes behind you is the side where you should feel the stretch. If you are seated, you hold one side, a few more seconds, breathing in and breathing out. From there, you want to switch sides. So now your other leg goes behind you, crisscross. You have the chair for support, and you go into that bend. Feeling the stretch all along the outside of the back and the outside of the hip. Or seated version, switching sides. And from there you release. So that's the class for today. I want to thank you all for coming. I got 5 more minutes on this Zoom, so I'm going to unmute everyone. If there's any questions or